What's up, everybody? It's your boy Sehatha, your all-purpose oracle, medium at large, and prognosticator extraordinaire, otherwise known as the Blind Seer. I'm trying to be a little quiet because it's super late at night. I'm determined to get these videos out today, guys. It took me so long to get everything done last week. I'm doing them in one day. Even if it takes me all night. My day unexpectedly involved a lot more sweeping up vomit with a broom and dustpan because I don't have anything else. So I'm getting a later start on these than I wanted. Yeah. 2 years ago I was homeless, and now I have my own place and my kids full time, and I'm homeschooling them, and I'm running a business, and I'm actually doing surprisingly well in such a short amount of time. But I still don't have most of the things that normal people have, because I've been living out of a duffel bag and a couple of garbage bags for half my life. That's a story for another day, though. Today we're doing elemental signs. So, sorry if you watched the random readings. You guys know I'm in such a weird mood tonight. This last week has been so crazy, and I don't know. I guess I finally processed everything, or it's finally hit me, or whatever. But it's been such a weird it's been such a weird day, guys. So these videos are going to be a little more interesting than usual, but the readings have been super great this week, so whatever is going on, I'm going to try to keep that up. I've really been feeling connected ever since I redid the altar. It's such an amazing energy. But yeah, enough about me and what I've got going on. I know you guys watch this to find out stuff to help you, and not to listen to me ramble about my, I don't know, troublesome, overwhelming life. But that's something I've said in a couple of videos before. Like, you're not going to get the same from me that you get from other tarot readers and psychics, and I hate using that word, but I guess that's what I am. But I'm not like them. We are two different ends of a very big spectrum, and you're going to get a totally different experience and a totally different vibe from me than you'll get from the rest of them, because we operate in different places. From different places, I guess. But we're going to do earth or fire signs. I got the social media card memorized, but I'm still trying to memorize my little element card. So bear with me, guys. So we're going to do fire signs. So what we need is whatever reading will be the most beneficial for the fire signs in my audience, the fire signs in the lives of everyone watching, for my channel, for my business, for my audience, and for everyone involved. That looks like to the right. Pretty good indication. Generally with the pendulum, I go whatever way it swings first, because it's going to do the back and forth either way. Or if it's kind of pulling more to one direction, I'll just sort of follow it with my hand. And the pendulum is a very delicate, very sensitive tool. It's usually the first one that people learn to use when they start doing this stuff, but it's not one that many people really learn to use well. So I offer pendulum readings, by the way, a very different kind of pendulum reading than other people do. So if you want to see more of what I mean about learning how to use a pendulum right, totally hit me up for that. It's one of my lower price services. We're going to jump in and do Aries. I'm going to light my talking stick. I'm in a really talkative mood today, guys, so you're going to get good videos, but you're also going to have to sit through me rambling about some things that I feel are related to what we're doing. We have the 5 of Cups. Is it 5 or 9? Yeah, 5 of Cups inverted for Aries. So you're in a peaceful place emotionally right now. You're not feeling conflicted. Maybe you have a sense of purpose, or you're feeling comfortable in your situation, or whatever, but either way, your emotional sphere is fairly neutral right now. You're not lacking anything, but you're also not perturbed by anything. If you notice in my videos, I'm very careful about my word choices, and I use very specific, sometimes unusual words like perturbed. I'm very big on neuro-linguistic programming and general semantics, and I feel that the choice of words that we use is particularly important in conveying the clearest meaning. So you'll see me struggle with exactly what word a lot in my videos. I don't think I've ever mentioned that before, but that's a thing that'll come up a lot. We have the Queen of Wands inverted. So you've gotten to a rise, an upswing in your spiritual energy. I always relate the royal cards to the cycle of the moon, and the queen is like the full moon phase, so it's the brightest, biggest expression of whatever the energy is before it starts to fold back in on itself. And it's actually talking about the circuit of the toroidal wave pattern, and if you are in my source code study group, you'll know about that and know that that's a huge part of everything that I do. But that's what the royal suit is describing, and it's describing it in the different elemental energies of our consciousness. Like fire, for instance, is like spiritual pursuits, passion and romance, ambition, divine inspiration, spiritual ideas, things of that nature. That it's referred to as the soul energy usually, though I don't like that word a lot for the same reason I don't like psychic. But I digress. Like, you're feeling comfortable where you're at right now, but you're not, it's not somewhere you're meant to stop. Like this is good. This is a great place to be, but it's a temporary state. And you need to be aware of that whenever it comes around. Because the Ace of Swords, something outside of your awareness is going to affect you soon. The Ace of Swords is mental energy in its purest form, so this is something you're completely oblivious to, and maybe that's why I was getting the notion that I needed to talk about the physics of the circuit and how this is the peak of the wave form, but it's supposed to go back down and come up again. And I feel like that's what this is trying to warn you about, Aries, that things are good for you right now, but you're going to hit a dip soon in the near future, and you're not seeing that coming, and that usually makes it a lot more unpleasant when it does happen. So understanding that that's just a part of the rhythm of things. Like, business being slow for me lately, that's something I generally wouldn't worry about, because that happens. Like, I have good weeks, I have bad weeks, I have good months, I have bad months. Sometimes it's day to day. Everybody's like that. Everything in the universe goes in wave forms. So sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, and that's just the way of things. And right now you're up, Aries, and you're feeling good about that. But you need to understand that it's like a pendulum. If you go this way, you're going to come back as much this way. And understanding that that's going to come makes it less shocking when it happens. So it's not like this life upending crisis event and this big surprise that brings all of this change with it. And you understanding that these states are temporary and that everything is transitional, everything is flowing into something else and back again. And knowing that this is a thing that's going to come, you'll be able to recognize it when it starts to happen and get ahead of it. And that's what being a wizard, a witch, a sage, whatever you want to call it, that's what enlightenment is all about, is understanding that flow to things and knowing how to recognize it so that you can get ahead of it and keep it from disrupting your energy too much. So that's something you need to be aware of, Aries. You guys tend to be really driven and very narrowly focused, so this could really blindside you, and you need to be prepared that things may drop off soon. And don't freak out over it. It's just something that happens, especially with the world in chaos like it is right now. A lot of things are going to be disrupted. So just understand that this too will pass. things are good right now, but that's temporary, and things are going to change in the near future, but that's also temporary. So it might be a bit of a struggle. It might be a little unpleasant, but it's not going to be forever. And I think that's a good place to end it. I wish you the best of luck with that, Aries. And if you need any more information, there's links down below where you guys can hit me up. And anytime that you need more clarification on something that comes up in a reading, or you feel like the reading didn't really apply to you, and maybe you'd like to find out something about something going on in your life, that's what I'm here for. I'd charge a fee just to keep. I've wanted to say something about free readings for a long time, and I feel like we've naturally hit a point for that. So I'm going to take a moment. Free readings, there's 3 different kinds. There's ones that aren't worth the price. There's ones where it's just somebody trying to get practice, and you can't really take those too seriously because they don't generally know what they're doing. And then there's the third kind of free reading where they're trying to steal your information, or they're trying to get something out of you, or they're trying to scam you for money. They're trying to rip you off somehow. And so I generally warn people away from free readings unless it's just somebody that needs the practice, and then just don't take it too seriously. If they're still reading out of the little booklet that comes with whatever divination tool that they're using, don't consider them an all-knowing oracle. That's just, if they haven't mastered the tool yet, then they haven't mastered the tool yet. And that's kind of all I'll say about that. But the reason I charge for readings is because when I did offer them for free, I never had a moment to myself, and people were hounding me constantly. And it was like the same people 20 times a day wanting to know about this or that. And so I charge a small fee, not because I'm trying to get something out of you guys, but just as a way of managing my time better, so that people who really need something right now have a way of getting to the front of the line instead of having to wait behind a crowd of everybody and me being swamped and never being able to get anything done. So just wanted to talk about that real quick between readings before we start Leo. Getting a little more comfortable in front of the camera, I think, is a part of why today is a little different. Somebody said my last video was very entertaining, so try to keep that up. That's what I'm going for anyway. I don't want this to just be me drolling on. But Leo, you have the 10 of Cups inverted. Leo, Leos are generally a very happy-go-lucky. They're super intense people to a degree, or they're just like very chill and upbeat. Like Leo affects you in a very specific way. So I don't jive well with Leo, so I try to be really objective when I talk about this, but there's only so many personality types that you can expect from a Leo. So the 10 of Cups inverted, it's a card of depression and hopelessness and feeling lost, and that is so not you, Leo. We got to get to the bottom of this. I think that card shocked me. I did not expect that in a Leo reading. Okay, we have the Page of Swords for you, Leo, inverted again. So you're holding on to something that is done with or in the past, and you should be stepping into a new, I'm going to say paradigm. That's a good word for this, because swords are the air energy, and that's your intellectual, mental energy, thoughts, ideas, plans, categorizations, archetypal images, things like that. So you're supposed to be stepping into a new perspective, a new paradigm, a new system of understanding or of being. There's a new form that you're not transitioning into, Leo, and that's where this depression is coming from. That it's not so much that you're feeling down about yourself, because that's not Leo's thing. You're not being as effective as you normally are, and you don't understand it. I feel like that's where this is coming from. But we'll get another card and we'll see what's going on. Okay, 2 of Pentacles. That's exactly what I thought. Wow, maybe I am psychic. But you got a choice to make, Leo. There's the old way or the new way. the old way isn't going to work anymore. That's not where we're at. There's a lot of other people that have been doing a lot of stuff that has paved the way for it, but I completed some magic that I have put 7 years of research and study and, quite frankly, invention into. I created an entirely new form of magic that nobody's done before, and it took me 7 years to come up with that. And I recently, on the equinox, used that to try to transition us into a better version of the world that we're in. And I know a lot of other people and a lot of other groups have been working along similar lines, which is why I decided it was time to finally do that, because things seem to be lining up to a point where I could give that last little nudge that would knock all the dominoes over. So I'm not trying to get into a whole thing here, but a lot of people are dealing with the fact that I've seen it unconsciously represented in the way people talk about things, like the world that we left behind, or the way it used to be, or like we've all sort of just quietly acknowledged that some way or another we're in a new world right now, and that needs to be taken more seriously. It's going to become more apparent as we move forward. Like, some people still won't notice on a conscious level. They'll just sort of go with it. Once the majority, it's a 144,000 light worker plan that we started like 5 or 6 years, about 7, is it 7 years ago now? Yeah, anyway, like 7 years ago or so, a group that I was in Anonymous, launched something called the 144,000 Lightworkers Project. And first of all, apologies for that. But that's a thing that once 144,000 people are attuned to something, it shifts the entire world's perspective from the point of humanity. We all sort of unconsciously acknowledge this new energy. It's based on some studies about monkeys and everything, but I get into all of that because the old methods, Leo, aren't going to work. And this is something, once again, I'm an Aquarius Pisces cusp. I am exactly opposite of Leo on the zodiac wheel, so we don't grok. And I'm going to be objective here, and I'm just going to talk. This isn't my personal bias against Leos or anything, but this is a truth. I try to include the good and bad about each sign. So Leos tend to be a little self-centered. There's nothing wrong with it's meant to be a healthy self-esteem, like the kind that makes you into a leader or a take charge kind of person. But in the world that we were living in, those things tend to get kind of bent, and it comes sometimes into like toxic self-love and narcissism and egocentrism and things like that. Leo is especially prone to that because of you guys' baseline energy. So a lot of you Leos are going to struggle because, and I say this as gently and from a place of understanding and neutrality as I can, that a lot of you had some really toxic behaviors. You're used to getting your own way by certain methods that weren't necessarily healthy for the other people involved in these situations. And I'm not judging anyone. I'm not saying this is all Leos even, but this is a common thing that occurs with people born under the sign of Leo. So it's something that a lot of you may have to deal with, and recognize that you had some toxic traits that you weren't aware of. And that's why things aren't working. That's why you feel down and like you're not where you're supposed to be, and you're not as effective as you should be right now, Leo. And you have a choice to make. You can keep trying the old toxic way. There's nothing stopping you. And everything is permitted. Nobody's going to show up and be like, hey, you can't do that. But it's not going to get you anywhere, and you're already feeling bad about it. So that's just going to continue to get worse. And one way or another, you're going to be forced to acknowledge these things. So it's better to start now and look through what it is that isn't working for you and try to understand why you're not getting the response that you're used to, and that will kind of help you get ahead of this change that we're all experiencing. That's going to be a theme, I feel like, for today. There's a lot of people adapting to the new order, or the new way. New order. I'm Illuminatus. I should know better than to say words like that, because that freaks people out. By the way, before I get into Sagittarius, I made a statement on my personal profile. I don't do things like this on my page, but I'm going to throw this out here in the video. I am a high-ranking Illuminatus of considerable standing. I've gone into that in the source code study group. There's a reason why I'm as good at the things that I do as I am. Having stated that, we didn't do this. Don't believe the stuff that you read on the internet. We're not trying to kill you all. In fact, we're largely the reason that the medical science that's protecting and helping everyone wasn't destroyed by the church 300 years ago. So just take everything with a grain of salt that you see on the internet, and don't believe anything you read. All right. We'll get into Sagittarius and call this quits. This is running longer than I meant it to. Ace of Wands for Sagittarius. This is why this video is running long. Have you noticed how many aces and super heavy power cards are coming out? Anyway, Ace of Wands, it's the aces are the primal source of the elemental energies of each suit. So the Ace of Wands would, like, you're dealing with something that has rocked you to the core. Like, right now you are broken down to the root of your being, and you are struggling with something on the soul level. It's not a mundane, everyday kind of problem or situation. Like, Sagittarius, whoever's watching this, you got something really heavy going on, and it's very, very close to the core of your being right now. Death inverted. What did I say? It was going to be a theme today. Death inverted represents a transformation or a transition that needs to take place but isn't. The inversion of every card just sort of means the opposite of what the card means, with a few exceptions. That's not a 100% standard rule. But anyway, death in the tarot is death in the pagan sense. Energy can never be created or destroyed. It merely changes forms. These are like scientific truths that physics still honors today. Pagans take that a little bit further into the concept of consciousness as energy, that we never cease to be. We transition into a different form, and that's what death represents in the tarot, the transformation or transitional force that we experience in life. Those times where something happens and it alters who we are at a very deep and personal level. So I'm not really surprised to see death inverted come up after the Ace of Wands, because whatever you're struggling with right now, Sagittarius, it's a very deep spiritual, like, personal, like, existential crisis type thing. And it's, once again, it's time to change. I've been calling on people for weeks to step up and to do better, and now we're all starting to see what I meant. There's a change coming. Things are no longer the way they were, and they're never going to go back to the way they were. And we have to rise to that occasion. And there's a lot of people that, and I get it, not a lot, there's so much going on, and it's hard to understand, and there's so much conflicting information, and nobody knows really what's at the core of all this, because there's so many conspiracy theories about who's doing this. Nobody's doing this. It's happening because of us and because of the way that we were living, because it wasn't healthy. And we've got to get real healthy real quick, y'all, or a lot of us aren't going to make it. And we've got to change our ways. There's a lot of transition going on for a lot of people. And Sagittarius, you have something very deep that you need to change. And that's going to take a lot of soul searching and a lot of, like, looking inward and being super painfully honest with yourself about yourself. And that's never easy to do, but wow, the Chariot, one of my favorite cards from this deck, but I'm so not surprised to see this come up either. I mean, Ace of Wands, Death inverted, and the Chariot. This is what you're experiencing right now, Sagittarius, is part of your life journey. This was woven into your fate when you were born. It's that chaos theory stuff that I talk about all the time. The initial conditions that started you on your path inevitably led to this point. This is where you were always going. You just didn't know it. And now that you're there, you're overwhelmed because you didn't understand what was coming and where it was headed. But this is a big part of your journey, Sagittarius. This is an important life moment for you, and whatever is going on with you, it's affecting you really, really deep down, and it's gonna leave a mark. There's this, one way or another, it's going to permanently alter who you are going forward. It's on you right now to try to do something about that. You can make the change consciously, and you can really sit and think about yourself and your actions and the impact that they have, and the things that you're not entirely truthful with yourself about, to justify things that you know aren't okay, but you make excuses or just anything like that. Like we all do it. I do it. Everybody does it. And the problem becomes when you stop feeling bad about doing it after a while, and it doesn't become habitual for everybody, but sometimes it does, like making these little excuses to ourselves that I know I shouldn't do this, but it's okay because, and that's the slippery slope that, like drug addicts, for example, have that problem a lot, that you keep gradually excusing more and more reckless behavior until you're at a point where there's no going back, and it has permanently altered things. So you've got yourself into a pattern that's unhealthy, Sagittarius, and that sucks. And it probably isn't even your fault. Like, we develop these behaviors as a reaction to things that happen as children, usually, and we don't understand what's going on. We don't have coping skills or anything like that. That's why things affect us the way that they do when we're young. So this could be something that you've always done that you just weren't aware of. It may not be intentional or even conscious. I'm not trying to say that you're a bad person at all by any means, Sagittarius, but there are some unhealthy behaviors that you have that you really need to reassess, and understanding that and working through it is part of your life journey. It's what was woven into your fate by the Norns the moment they read your name and saw your name in Earth as well and carved it into the bark of Yggdrasil. This was always what you were put here to do. It's time to take stock, and it's time to really assess yourself and the impact that you have, and how honest you really are with yourself about who you are and what you do. All of us make these little concessions, but it sounds like maybe for you this time, Sagittarius, you've let it go a little too far, and life is starting to rub it in your face. That's not the right... It's becoming apparent in ways that are unpleasant for you. It either makes you feel bad, or you see things that you feel like are your fault, damage that you feel like you caused, and the impact that it's had. And it's time to own up to all that. Or just whatever it is, Sagittarius. This is a part of your life journey, and it requires transformation. I'm just spitballing off of what I don't even know where this stuff comes from, guys, honestly. I just start writing or talking, and it's like it takes me over. But I would assume it's from Abzumudu, the whatever angel of the dark waters that I work with. It's probably from him. Anyway, I'm going to call this quits. So I hope that was helpful, Sagittarius. I don't know if I rambled too long about possible details or anything, but I'm in such a weird mood tonight, guys, and I'm feeling really talkative. So these videos are going to run a little long, and I hope if these readings are good and this is something you guys like, I'll try to keep doing it like this as much as I can. I'm getting a little more comfortable with these, and I'm trying to give you guys as much as I can whenever I do get to shoot them, because my schedule is so disrupted. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you did like this and you'd like to help me out, you want to toss a coin to your seer, there's plenty of links down in the description. You can check those out while you like and subscribe. And be sure to hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. My daughter actually pointed this out to me. I would never have known this, but she watches YouTubers all the time. And if you don't hit the little bell, YouTube won't tell you when I make new videos. So definitely make sure you turn on notifications and all of that. Check out my links down in the description. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all the love and support I get from you guys. And I hope that I've given a lot of that back tonight. So I hope to see you next time, and take it easy.